This is how you know a miracle is coming. Napoleon Hill motivation. What if I told you the silence in your life right now isn't a sign of absence but of arrival? That every setback, every delay, every not yet is proof that something big is already on its way to you. But the real question isn't whether it's coming, it's whether you're truly ready to receive it. Napoleon Hill warned us, success doesn't visit the unprepared, it blesses the persistent. Let me show you exactly how to get ready for the moment that changes everything. Part 1. The divine signal, why struggles come before breakthroughs. When you're on the verge of something extraordinary, life has a way of throwing everything it has at you. It's as if the world suddenly turns darker, your energy feels drained, your doubts resurface, and progress slows to a crawl. But what if this isn't a curse? What if it's the signal? Napoleon Hill believed that the darkest moments often arrive right before your greatest breakthroughs. This isn't just a poetic sentiment, it's a psychological truth rooted in how the universe, or what Hill referred to as infinite intelligence, operates. Hill taught that success is never accidental. It follows very specific spiritual and psychological laws. And one of the most crucial is this: every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So why do these struggles come first? Because success, especially when it's big, demands a transformation. You don't receive something monumental until you've proven you're ready to hold it. The struggles you're facing are not obstacles to the gift, they are the preparation. Always, determinen, the purpose behind the pain. According to Hill, pain and struggle are not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. They reveal what you truly believe, how much you truly want something, and whether you can remain disciplined even when external rewards are nowhere in sight. The greater the vision, the deeper the preparation. When you're about to receive something big, whether it's a dream job, a soulmate, or a massive opportunity, you'll often first experience what Hill described as a testing period. These tests are not punishments, they're filters. The universe, or God, is weeding out the unworthy mindset, stripping away the ego, and making sure your character matches your calling. 2. Chaos is a clue. In Napoleon Hill's concept of personal transformation, chaos is not random, it's a restructuring process. Often, people are confused or discouraged when they see their old relationships ending, their income shrinking, or their mental clarity fading. But in reality, this is often the universe creating space, tearing down the old to make room for the new. You can't receive something truly great if your life is already full of things that aren't aligned with it. So the breakdown comes before the breakthrough. It's like the soil before planting. It has to be broken, cracked open, loosened. Only then can new seeds take root. This is exactly what happens internally during hardship. It breaks your routine mindset, cracks open your comfort zone, and loosens your attachment to things that no longer serve you. 3. The energy shift before the gift. Hill's teachings emphasize that thought is energy, and energy creates reality. But when you're manifesting something big, there's a significant shift in energetic frequency required. That shift is not painless. Your old beliefs, your old habits, your old fears, they all have to be released to make room for the new reality. This process can feel like suffering, but from a spiritual perspective, it's transformation, it's detox. And just like a body goes through uncomfortable symptoms when detoxing physically, your mind and spirit go through chaos, fatigue, and fear when detoxing old energy. This is why Hill constantly repeated that success comes to those who become success conscious. That consciousness, that mindset is not formed in moments of ease, but in moments of pressure. You're literally reprogramming your subconscious. That's why the period before receiving something big often feels like you're being stretched beyond your limit. 4. Resistance is confirmation. One of the most counterintuitive truths Hill emphasized was that resistance is often proof that you're on the right path. The more resistance you feel, the more valuable the reward. If you're not being challenged, you're probably not growing, and you're certainly not being prepared for greatness. When you're about to receive something big, you'll often face unexpected problems, delays, betrayals, financial stress, confusion. These are not signs to quit. They are spiritual confirmations that something powerful is approaching. It's the same principle found in nature. The darkest part of the night is just before dawn. The moment before a seed breaks, the ground is when it's under the most pressure. The moment before a baby is born is the most intense part of labor. Pressure means you're getting closer, not further away. At the decision point, how you respond matters. Hill taught that adversity offers you a choice to shrink or to expand when you hit a wall. When you're exhausted, when the voice in your head says give up, that's when the real work begins. That's the moment the universe watches to see what you're truly made of. Most people retreat in fear, but the few who stay committed, who act in faith instead of fear, who persist without external proof, those are the ones who step into their calling. Napoleon Hill didn't just teach about success. He taught that success must be earned spiritually first through the mindset, discipline, and internal strength that struggle produces. When you respond to adversity with courage, clarity, and commitment, you align yourself with that higher energy. You become a vessel capable of holding the big thing that's coming. Part 2, Burning Desire. The first proof. You're close to a miracle. If there's one idea Napoleon Hill hammered into every page of Think and Grow Rich, it's this. The starting point of all achievement is desire. But Hill didn't mean casual wishing or hopeful daydreams. He meant burning desire, the kind that consumes your thoughts, influences your decisions, and sets your entire nervous system on fire with a sense of urgency. According to Hill, a burning desire is not just motivation. It is the first visible signal that something extraordinary is about to happen. In fact, when you start feeling like you want something with unshakable intensity, when it feels impossible to ignore, you're not delusional, you're tuning into your divine assignment. That burning desire is the soul's signal that something big is on its way. One burning desire is a spiritual frequency. Napoleon Hill believed that desire is not created randomly. Instead, it arises from what he called the ether, a field of infinite intelligence that plants ideas in the minds of those who are spiritually and mentally ready to bring them into reality. When you suddenly feel consumed by a vision, whether it's a business idea, a purpose, a relationship, or a dream that just won't leave you alone, it's not an accident. That desire was assigned to you. And your obsession with it isn't a weakness. It's evidence that the universe is communicating through your emotions. Burning desire is the first phase of manifestation. It's like the soil being warmed before the seed is planted, and it always arrives before the thing itself. 2, you don't need to know how, only what and why. One of the biggest misconceptions that kills success early is the belief that you need to have all the steps figured out before taking action. Hill directly warned against this idea. He wrote, "Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible." The how always reveals itself after the what is solidified in your subconscious. Once your burning desire is intense enough, your brain begins seeking and creating the path forward through something Hill called definiteness of purpose. In other words, your job is to define what you want and why it matters. The universe will handle the how, but only after it sees that you're emotionally committed to the outcome. Burning desire unlocks this spiritual algorithm when it's real. The world begins to reorganize in your favor. People show up, opportunities align, and strange coincidences start happening. These are not coincidences, they are confirmation. 3, the difference between wish and will. Napoleon Hill made a powerful distinction. A wish is passive, a desire is active. But a burning desire, that's destiny in motion. Wishing is when you think, I hope it works out. But burning desire says, it must work out, I will make it so. This is where the line between ordinary and extraordinary is drawn. Hill shared the story of Edwin C. Barnes, the man who had a burning desire to go into business with Thomas. Edison Barnes had no money, no connections, no credibility, but he had certainty. He didn't say, I want to work for Edison. He said, I am going to be his partner. That one statement and the unwavering belief behind it changed the course of his life. And that, Hill emphasized, is the raw power of burning desire. It rewires your identity before the goal becomes reality. 4. Desire transforms the invisible into the visible. You can't see the wind, but you can feel it. Burning desire works the same way. It's invisible to others, but you can feel it in your body, and when it's strong enough, it begins to pull resources, people, and possibilities into your orbit. Hill claimed that a definite desire, backed by faith and persistence, is capable of drawing down the forces of infinite intelligence to assist you in ways beyond logic. And once this alignment occurs, you no longer chase success. Success starts chasing you. The greatest mistake is ignoring or doubting that desire. If it's real, and it won't leave you alone, it's because you're meant to fulfill it. 5 obstacles are a sign you're close, not far. Hill warned that burning desire is almost always followed by setbacks, not because you're failing, but because you're passing through the fire of refinement. If your desire is big, the resistance will be big. Why? Because the universe is asking, do you really want it? Will you keep going if it's hard? Is this a calling or a craving? Every obstacle that arises after the birth of burning desire is not there to block you. It's there to prepare you, to sharpen your vision, to strip away the non-essentials. It's a process of proving not to others, but to yourself that you're committed, no matter what. As Hill put it, the majority of people are ready to throw their aims and purposes overboard and give up at the first sign of opposition or misfortune. But those with burning desire, they see opposition as fuel. The pressure confirms the promise. Part 3, the test of faith when everything seems to fall apart. There is a specific moment in every journey toward greatness when things begin to unravel, plans fail, people walk away. The energy you once had vanishes, the momentum dies. Everything you believed was stable begins to shake. And just when you're ready to give up, one final question emerges. Do you still believe? Napoleon Hill called this moment the test of faith, a universal checkpoint that everyone must pass through before receiving something truly big. He emphasized that faith is more than just belief. Faith, in Hill's philosophy, is a spiritual force that transforms your thoughts into reality. It is belief applied with action, consistency, and emotion, even when there's no physical evidence that things are working. When everything seems to fall apart, you're not being abandoned, you're being tested. One faith isn't real until it's tested. It's easy to believe when things are working, when you're seeing results, when the path is clear, when others support your journey. That's not faith, that's convenience. True faith begins where logic ends. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Te wasid titurni." Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. But how do you know if your faith is real? You only find out when everything around you contradicts your vision. That's when you discover whether your beliefs are deep-rooted or surface level. This is why people who are closest to their breakthrough often experience their lowest emotional point right before things shift. Life turns silent, prayers go unanswered, doors close. Doubt grows louder. It's not coincidence, it's initiation. Hill taught that infinite intelligence never rewards temporary belief. It rewards unyielding faith, the kind that holds firm in darkness, the kind that says, I will continue even if I can't see the way. True faith is the bridge between vision and reality. In Hill's view, every goal or desire is first born in the mind. It starts as a thought, a vision, but to cross the gap between thought and reality, you need more than action. You need faith, because the path forward will often require you to move without confirmation. Hill explained that faith operates like a magnet. It draws to you the resources, ideas, and circumstances that match your belief. But the catch is, you have to believe it before you see it. You have to move like it's already done, speak like it's already true, and act like it's already yours. That's why people without faith crumble under pressure. They need proof before action, But people of faith, the ones Hill admired, become the proof. 3 delays are divine filters. Sometimes your biggest dreams take longer, not because you're not working hard enough, but because the delay is by design. According to Hill, delays are tests of endurance. They're divine filters, separating those who are casually interested from those who are absolutely committed. He wrote, "One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. The key word here is temporary, but most people interpret delays as denial. They stop showing up, they stop believing, they let fear take over. But for those who pass the test of faith, delays become preparation, and the longer the wait, the greater the blessing. Just because the harvest hasn't come doesn't mean the seed isn't growing. Faith is what keeps you watering the ground even when nothing has sprouted. It's what keeps you knocking on the door even after 100 rejections, and it's what makes you show up like you've already won before anyone else sees it. For your response determines the outcome. During the test of faith, how you respond means everything. Most people fall into 2 traps. Doubt, they begin to question the worth of their vision. Desperation, they chase shortcuts or lower their standards. But neither of those responses will open the door to something Big Hill emphasized, that faith requires consistency, unwavering behavior, even under uncertain conditions. If you change your attitude every time circumstances shift, the universe cannot trust you. If you fluctuate emotionally based on external results, you disqualify yourself. The real test is whether you can remain aligned with your higher vision even when life throws you into chaos. Faith, in Hill's words, creates a spiritual vibration. It broadcasts your commitment into the universe, and the universe responds accordingly, not to your desire, but to your belief in your desire. 5. Faith activates invisible help. One of Hill's most radical ideas was that faith activates invisible forces. He described this as connecting to infinite intelligence, a higher dimension of guidance, ideas, and creative power that begins to support you once you align your belief and emotion with your goals. This is why, during your darkest moments, the right mentor appears. The right idea strikes you in the middle of the night. A stranger offers you a lead you weren't expecting. Coincidences increase, miracles unfold. It's not random. It's the result of unwavering faith, opening channels of assistance that logic can't explain. Hill taught that faith is a spiritual law, and just like gravity, it works whether you understand it or not, but it only works for those who stay committed through the silence. Part 4, temporary defeat or final failure. Choosing the right mindset. There's a powerful moment in every success story where a decision must be made not about the next step, but about how to interpret defeat. Napoleon Hill drew a critical distinction that most people overlook: the difference between temporary defeat and final failure. This distinction isn't just philosophical, it determines who rises and who disappears. Hill emphasized, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. But here's the truth, most people never discover that seed. Why? Because they assume that every defeat is the end, not realizing it was actually a checkpoint, not realizing it was a disguised beginning. One temporary defeat is inevitable, but it's not final. No one escapes temporary defeat, not the dreamer, not the doer, not the genius, not even the spiritually enlightened. If you're on the path to something big, defeat is not a possibility, it's a requirement, it's part of the curriculum of success. Hill taught that temporary defeat is not a sign you're doing something wrong. In fact, it's usually confirmation that you're on the right path. The universe uses these setbacks to strengthen your clarity, purify your motivation, and test your resilience. But temporary defeat only becomes final failure when you stop, not when you fall, but when you refuse to rise. 2. How you interpret defeat changes everything. There's an invisible line that separates successful people from those who remain stuck, and that line is drawn by interpretation. 2 people can go through the exact same challenge. One says, "This is the end." The other says, "This is the lesson." One gives up, the other grows up. Hill repeatedly warned that the majority of people stop 3 feet from gold right at the moment when things become the most difficult. They misinterpret the final test as a permanent block, but those who succeed develop the mindset that temporary defeat is a message, not a verdict. It says, not yet, not never. 3, failure is feedback in disguise. Napoleon Hill's philosophy reframed failure into a tool. He viewed it as feedback, intelligent data provided by life to help you pivot, adapt, and evolve. Most people fear failure because they attach it to identity. If I fail, I am a failure. But Hill taught the opposite. You fail because you're in motion, because you are trying, adjusting, experimenting. In truth, failure is not weakness. Failure is progress wearing a mask. The key is to observe, not absorb. Don't take it personally. Don't let it define your future. Don't let it shrink your dream. Instead, treat every setback as correction, not condemnation. Let it teach you, let it guide you, but never let it stop you. 4, reframe setbacks as spiritual preparation. Hill often wrote about invisible counselors, a symbolic or spiritual concept that represents higher insight and unseen support. He believed that when you endure defeat with dignity and reflection, you tap into deeper wisdom that others ignore. In essence, temporary defeat isn't random. It's strategic. It strips away ego. It refines your vision. It humbles your spirit. It builds the psychological muscle needed to sustain success when it arrives. Without defeat, you wouldn't develop the depth required to handle greatness. That's why most people who succeed at high levels always say, I'm grateful for my failures. Because now they understand those failures weren't punishments, they were preparation. To make sure you must decide to keep going, especially when it feels pointless. The most dangerous defeat is the one that feels meaningless. It's not a dramatic collapse, it's the slow drain of hope. It's the internal voice that says, what's the point? That's when you're most vulnerable, not to the world, but to your own giving up. And that's where Hill's philosophy hits hardest. Success belongs to those who keep moving after the emotion has faded. Who take action even when the passion is gone? Who show up when no one is watching and nothing is working? He called this persistence, and he ranked it as one of the top principles of personal achievement. Persistence isn't flashy. It's not motivational. It's boring, painful, repetitive, and yet it's the exact frequency where breakthroughs begin to emerge. Because when you choose to rise from temporary defeat with intention and clarity, you send a message to the universe. I am ready. And when that message is received, what once felt like a loss begins to reveal itself as the very foundation of your future. Part 5, Infinite Intelligence, Trusting a Power Greater Than You. In the philosophies of Napoleon Hill, no idea is more profound or more misunderstood than his belief in infinite intelligence. This concept is not about religion in the traditional sense. It's about recognizing a higher order of wisdom and creative power that flows through everything, including you. When you're on the path to something big, especially during seasons of uncertainty, one truth becomes essential. You are not doing this alone. Hill believed that the mind, when aligned with faith and desire, becomes a transmitter capable of tapping into something far greater than logic, education, or experience. This force is infinite intelligence, the unseen hand that nudges you forward when you feel lost, the whisper that says, keep going when you want to quit, and the source of ideas, solutions, and breakthroughs that no one else can explain. What is infinite intelligence? Hill described infinite intelligence as the supreme source of all knowledge. It's the intelligence that designs nature, that keeps the planets in orbit, that inspires genius ideas seemingly out of nowhere. In simple terms, it's divine guidance. And in Hill's model of success, infinite intelligence is not accessed by force, but by faith, clarity, and emotional alignment. When you align your thoughts with belief and desire, you begin to attract solutions and resources that go beyond human explanation. You'll notice, inspiration shows up out of nowhere. The right people appear at the perfect moment. Answers come in dreams or flashes of insight. This is not coincidence, it's cooperation with a greater power. 2. You must create mental and emotional space for guidance. One of the major reasons people don't access infinite intelligence is because they're too mentally busy. Their minds are filled with fear, overthinking, and doubt. And just like you can't hear a whisper in a crowded room, you can't receive divine guidance in a chaotic mind. Hill emphasized calm, intentional thought often through prayer, meditation, solitude, or what he called autosuggestion, the practice of feeding your subconscious with purposeful affirmations. You must tune your mind like a radio. Infinite intelligence is always broadcasting, but you won't hear the signal until you silence the noise. That means releasing control, letting go of perfection, trusting that unseen progress is still progress. Actually, your role, trust the process, not just the plan. Hill made it clear while planning is important, the plan is never final. It evolves, it adjusts, and sometimes it falls apart entirely, not because it was wrong, but because something better is trying to come through. Infinite intelligence will often reroute your path not to punish you, but to position you. You thought that job was the door? It wasn't. You thought that person was your destiny. They were just a lesson. You thought the delay was a detour? It was alignment. But none of this is visible if you're obsessed with controlling every outcome. You must surrender your ego to the rhythm of something higher. Faith is not just believing things will work out. Faith is trusting that even what didn't work out was part of the plan. For ideas are divine currency. In Hill's world, ideas are the beginning of miracles. When you align your energy with purpose and persistence, infinite intelligence sends you ideas, but they're not random. They're instructions. And if you ignore them, you delay the reward. If you hesitate too long, the idea might move on to someone else. Because ideas are alive and they're looking for vessels. Hill believed that when God, or infinite intelligence, is about to give you something big, he doesn't hand it to you fully formed. Instead, he gives you a vision, a flash, a spark. And the question is, will you take that spark seriously? Will you act before it makes sense? Will you move before you have all the answers? That's how faith partners with divine power. Not by waiting for full clarity, but by acting on partial insight, trusting the rest will unfold as you go. 5 miracles come to those who prepare their minds to receive. Hill was clear. Infinite intelligence does not respond to vague intentions or half-hearted effort. It responds to definiteness of purpose, backed by belief and fueled by burning desire. The universe doesn't reward indecision. It rewards conviction. It rewards those who prepare themselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally to receive the thing they're asking for. And often, that means acting as if it's already yours. Show up like you've already been chosen. Speak like your words carry power. Think like you're being guided by something divine. Because you are. When you walk with confidence, not arrogance, when you align with purpose, not pressure, infinite intelligence flows, answers arrive, resources align, and what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Part 6, Signs from the Universe. How to recognize a coming breakthrough. When something big is about to enter your life, the universe rarely announces it with fireworks. Instead, it whispers, it shifts, it rearranges. But most people miss the signs, not because the signs aren't there, but because they're too focused on what's not happening. Napoleon Hill taught that the universe gives signals long before it delivers the outcome. And those who are aware, spiritually sensitive, and mentally ready can sense when something big is approaching. These signs are subtle, but once you know what to look for, you'll realize the breakthrough was never sudden, it was signaled. One discomfort increases right before expansion. One of the most consistent signs you're nearing something life-changing is a rising sense of discomfort emotionally, mentally, or physically. Suddenly, your old habits don't satisfy you. Your usual crowd feels unfamiliar. The work you once enjoyed feels empty. This is not a breakdown. This is energetic friction. Hill explained that when your mind is preparing to operate at a higher level, your current environment becomes a constraint, so your spirit starts to rebel against comfort zones. The soul knows what's coming, and it's trying to create space for it. Discomfort is not a warning. It's a signal that your current container is too small for what you're about to receive. Two people exit, often without explanation. A surprising and sometimes painful sign that something big is near. People start leaving your life. Some relationships dissolve naturally, others break unexpectedly. Sometimes betrayal occurs. Sometimes people just stop calling. To the untrained mind, this feels like rejection, but Hill's wisdom reframes it. When you're being prepared for a new level, the people who can't go with you will start falling away. Not everyone has the energy, mindset, or alignment to walk with you into your next chapter. An infinite intelligence, in its higher wisdom, will clear the path for you even if you wouldn't have chosen it that way. Let them go. Their departure is part of your elevation, not your abandonment. 3 old structures begin to break down. Just before a major breakthrough, systems in your life start to collapse. This may look like losing a job or opportunity, financial uncertainty, health wake-up calls, mental exhaustion from your current routine. These experiences are not punishments. They're divine interruptions. Hill would say this is how the universe removes what no longer aligns with your higher purpose. Sometimes your schedule needs to be disrupted before you're willing to reimagine your future. Sometimes a door needs to slam shut so that you finally notice the bigger one waiting down the hall. Destruction is often the precursor to reinvention. For you begin receiving unusual intuitive nudges. When something big is near, your intuition becomes louder. Napoleon Hill emphasized the power of hunches, unexplained insights or ideas that come from what he called infinite intelligence. You may suddenly feel a strong pull toward a book, a person, or an idea. Get a dream that feels too specific to ignore. Sense that you need to make a change even if nothing is technically wrong yet. This is your subconscious mind communicating with the divine field of intelligence. It knows what your conscious mind can't yet see, and these nudges are not to be ignored. They're preparation prompts. Pay attention. The answers are rarely loud, but they are always precise. You feel spiritually drained and emotionally raw. Another clear sign of an approaching breakthrough is emotional vulnerability. You might find yourself crying for no reason, feeling unmotivated, or sensing a deep inner conflict. This is not regression, this is release. Your system is detoxing, your spirit is shedding what it can't carry into the next level. Hill's teachings affirm that every major upgrade requires a corresponding emotional purge. It may feel like anxiety, restlessness, an overwhelming desire to retreat and reflect. This isn't a breakdown, it's the body and soul recalibrating. You're clearing internal bandwidth for something greater. Sex's strange coincidences begin to multiply. One of the most mysterious signs Hill often pointed to was the appearance of synchronicities, events that feel too aligned to be chance. These might include meeting the right person at the perfect time, coming across a message, video, or quote that answers exactly what you were wondering, a sudden job lead, opportunity, or conversation that sparks momentum. These are not random. They're breadcrumbs laid down by infinite intelligence guiding you gently, but deliberately, toward your destiny. The more aligned your mind and emotions are with your purpose, the more often these coincidences occur. It's the universe saying, you're on the right track, keep going. 7. Silence before the storm of blessings. Perhaps the most confusing, yet powerful sign that you're close to something big is the season of silence. Nothing seems to move, the momentum halts, you hear crickets, opportunities stall, your prayers feel unanswered. But here's what Hill's philosophy urges us to remember. The silence isn't absence, it's alignment. Just as a storm gathers in stillness, and just as crops grow silently underground before they're visible, The universe works quietly before it works suddenly. The silence is not a sign that nothing is happening. It's proof that everything is happening, but in the invisible realm first. Trust it. Don't panic. Stay in integrity, keep your vibration high, and remain open, because what feels like nothing today is often the threshold of everything tomorrow. Part 7, Persistence Under Pressure, the hidden key to your reward. If there's one trait that Napoleon Hill identified as absolutely essential for achieving anything great, it's persistence. But Hill wasn't talking about the kind of effort you put in when you feel good or when things are going well. He was referring to persistence when you're under pressure, when nothing is working, when no one is clapping, and when the outcome seems miles away. Hill made it clear, persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. Without it, even the most brilliant plans dissolve under pressure. With it, even the simplest idea can shake the world. The moment just before a breakthrough is often the hardest, not because you're failing, but because the universe is testing your capacity to hold what's coming. And the only response that passes this test is relentless, disciplined, faithful persistence. One pressure is not the problem, your response is. When you're on the edge of something big, life will press you from all sides. The pressure may come through delays, criticism, financial strain, or emotional burnout. The natural response is to retreat, to assume something's wrong, to look for another path, or to wait for perfect conditions. But Hill taught the opposite. You don't need perfect conditions, you need perfect determination. The pressure you're feeling is not there to stop you. It's there to mold you into someone who can carry the responsibility of the reward. You're not being punished, you're being forged. Most people quit too soon. That's why they stay small. Hill's research, which included interviews with hundreds of the most successful people of his time, revealed a painful truth. The majority of people give up too early, often just before the blessing appears. He famously shared the story of H.R.U. Darby, who gave up digging for gold just 3 feet before hitting the richest vein in Colorado. Someone else came, picked up where Darby left off, and found the treasure. The difference wasn't talent, it wasn't strategy. It was persistence. Most people are strong starters but weak finishers. They begin with fire, but when resistance shows up, they assume it's a sign to quit. Hill argued that resistance is not a stop sign, it's a checkpoint. If you give up at resistance, you weren't ready for what you were asking for. 3, persistence is spiritual endurance in action. Napoleon Hill didn't view persistence as merely mental toughness. He saw it as a spiritual discipline. He believed persistence was your soul's way of telling the universe, I'm serious. When you persist, when you keep going in silence, in pain, in confusion, you are declaring your commitment to something higher. You are proving that your desire is not a passing fantasy, but a purposeful vision. In Hill's words, victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. Each time you show up, despite the odds, you shift your frequency. You align yourself with strength, clarity, and divine support. You become magnetic to miracles. For every step you take sends a signal. Persistence is not just about time, it's about consistency. Every step you take under pressure sends a spiritual signal. To your subconscious mind, it says, we don't give up. To the universe, it says, I'm still here, still committed, still available. To the world, it says, watch me make it happen. Hill often talked about autosuggestion, the process of feeding your subconscious repeated affirmations and commands, but he knew affirmations without action are useless. Persistence is the physical proof of belief. You don't just say you believe, you behave like it, especially when it's hard. That's when your identity shifts from hopeful dreamer to determined achiever. 5 small actions under pressure create big shifts. One of the myths about persistence is that it has to be loud or massive. It doesn't. Sometimes persistence is waking up and showing up, even when you're emotionally empty. Sometimes it's writing one more page, making one more call, praying one more time, staying one more week. Sometimes it's choosing not to quit today and letting tomorrow worry about itself. Hill knew that momentum is rarely built by dramatic action. It's built by daily discipline, especially when no one is watching. And those who master this consistency under pressure become unstoppable. Because when God is about to give you something big, He watches how you act under pressure. He asks, can you keep believing without applause? Can you keep creating without results? Can you keep going when logic says to stop? Persistence is your answer. It's how you prove you're ready. Part 8, the law of compensation. Why the universe owes you something big. In Napoleon Hill's teachings, there is an unshakable truth that underlies all personal achievement. You always get back what you give, multiplied. This idea is rooted in the timeless principle known as the law of compensation, a law Hill absorbed deeply from thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and then expanded into a core of his own philosophy. The law of compensation isn't just karma. It's not superstition. It's a spiritual and psychological equation that says this. Every act of service, sacrifice, or discipline creates a debt that the universe must repay. So when you've been putting in the work, sowing seeds with no immediate reward, sacrificing while others coast, believing even when no results show up, you are not being ignored. You're building spiritual credit, and that credit never disappears, it compounds. What you sow, you must reap. It's a universal contract. Napoleon Hill was clear: effort is never wasted. Every hour you invest, every failure you endure, every moment you choose integrity over ease, it's recorded. Not just in the physical world, but in the energetic and spiritual realm. And the universe has a memory. It doesn't always pay back when you expect, but it always pays back more than you gave. This is why Hill often warned people not to give in to bitterness or frustration when results are delayed. The law is still working, the seeds are still germinating, and in time, what you've poured out will be returned, often pressed down, shaken together, and running over. 2. The value of your reward matches the value you've created. Hill believed that the quality and size of what you receive are tied directly to what you've contributed, not just in labor, but in intention, excellence, and consistency. That means if you've shown up every day with purpose, you'll attract meaningful opportunities. If you've helped others selflessly, you'll receive help from unexpected places. If you've honored your craft, your time, and your energy, doors will open that others can't even see. But if you've been half-committed, dishonest, or passive, don't expect a powerful return. The universe doesn't reward desire alone. It rewards value, and it returns it with interest. 3. Delayed compensation builds interest. Here's the paradox most people don't understand. The longer the delay, the bigger the reward. When you're doing all the right things, but the results don't come, it's easy to feel forgotten. But Hill's teachings remind us that the universe operates like an investment system. It builds compound interest on your efforts. So when you're in a long waiting season, showing up, staying faithful, refining your skills, you're not falling behind. You're building a deeper reservoir of return. And when it finally arrives, it won't be equal to your input. It will exceed it. That's why Hill constantly urged readers, do not be discouraged if your plans fail temporarily. The road to success is through continuous improvement. Those who wait well and work during the wait receive more than just results. They receive dividends. For the universe does not forget the work done in silence. So many people labor in silence. They build businesses, raise children, study late at night, improve their character, all with no applause, no spotlight, no validation. Hill taught that the silence is sacred. What you do in obscurity prepares you for what you will one day do in authority, and the compensation that comes to those who persevere quietly is often public, undeniable, and transformative. The coach who trained for years before anyone knew their name, the author who wrote in a basement for a decade before the bestseller, the entrepreneur who kept launching and failing and refining behind the scenes, their reward wasn't random. It was the maturity of invisible labor finally made visible. And that reward, it's often more than money. It comes in peace, purpose, recognition, and impact. It touches generations. 5. You are not begging for a blessing, you're due for one. This is one of the most empowering insights in Hill's system. You don't have to beg the universe to bless you. If you've been doing the work, you're already owed. The law of compensation makes no exceptions. If you've persisted in faith, shown up with excellence, sacrificed with grace, and grown in silence, the reward must come. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned with a law greater than luck. You've made deposits. Now the return is being calculated. And when it arrives, it often appears all at once: sudden success, rapid elevation, divine favor. But it was never sudden. It was always earned in secret and returned in overflow. Part 9. Preparation meets opportunity, the secret timing of success. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being the right person when that moment arrives. Napoleon Hill taught that opportunity never comes to those who are unprepared. And when the universe is about to deliver something big, it first asks a simple but powerful question: are you ready? The truth is, the opportunity you're praying for already exists. But the question is whether you have become someone who can hold it, manage it, grow it, and not lose it. That's why success doesn't just belong to the dreamers, it belongs to the prepared. One big opportunities require bigger versions of you. Hill was very clear: success doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who are qualified to receive it. And how do you qualify? By building habits that match the lifestyle you desire. By cultivating the mindset that can handle pressure, criticism, and complexity. By strengthening your emotional resilience so you don't crumble when challenges come. The universe doesn't delay your breakthrough to punish you. It delays it to prepare you. Imagine giving a multi-million-dollar company to someone with no leadership skills, no discipline, and no emotional stability. It would collapse in weeks. The same is true for relationships, influence, or any divine assignment. You must become equal to the blessing. 2. Preparation happens in silence, reward happens in public. Most people want results quickly, but Hill emphasized that true preparation is often invisible. It's the private work you do when no one's looking. Waking up early to read and study. Showing up to work even when no one is watching. Saying no to distractions that dilute your focus. Practicing discipline when giving up would be easier. These small, consistent decisions are building the infrastructure for your future. You may not see the reward yet, but the energy is accumulating, and when the opportunity comes, you won't need to get ready, you'll be already ready. That's when elevation feels effortless, because you've already paid the price in advance. 3. The universe is always testing for readiness. Hill believed that life sends small opportunities first, not to bless you, but to measure you. How do you treat the job you don't want? How do you manage the $500 before you receive $500,000? How do you handle authority when no one is giving you credit? How consistent are you when the results are minimal? These minor tests are actually major evaluations. They reveal your readiness, and often, the reason a big opportunity is withheld is because you haven't yet passed these preliminary exams. Success is always watching, so is failure. And both are attracted to the version of you that shows up when you think no one else is paying attention. 4. Timing isn't just about destiny, it's about maturity. Many people think that the right timing is about fate or divine intervention. But Napoleon Hill would argue that timing is less about luck and more about development. You might think you're ready. You might even feel entitled. But the truth is, you don't rise to your potential, you fall to your level of preparation. So if the opportunity hasn't arrived yet, ask yourself, what skills am I still developing? What mindsets do I still need to break? What distractions do I still entertain? What version of me would blow this opportunity if it arrived today? You don't prepare once success arrives, you prepare so it can arrive. 5. When preparation and opportunity collide, elevation feels instant. Have you ever seen someone blow up overnight. Their business explodes. Their book becomes a bestseller. Their name is suddenly everywhere. But here's what you don't see. The 10 years of quiet work. The thousands of rejections. The failed versions and silent lessons. When preparation finally collides with opportunity, the results look sudden, but they were really just the maturity of long-term, quiet obedience. This is why Hill emphasized faith in timing, not passive waiting, but active readiness. You keep building, growing, refining, and improving because when your moment comes, you won't have time to build the foundation. You'll either be ready or miss it. And the most powerful part, when you're fully prepared, you won't chase the opportunity. It will find you. Part 10, Receiving the Gift. Are you ready to step into the bigger life? After all the preparation, persistence, and personal transformation, there comes a moment, a sacred, quiet, almost surreal moment when the thing you've prayed for, worked for, and waited on finally shows up. But here's the shocking truth. Most people are not ready to receive what they've been asking for. They've been trained to chase, but not to hold. They've learned how to hope, but not how to handle the weight of the blessing. Napoleon Hill understood something few others did. Success is not just about getting, it's about becoming. And when God or infinite intelligence is about to give you something big, He doesn't just look at your desire, He looks at your capacity. So when the gift arrives, the real question is, are you ready to step into the bigger life, or are you still thinking like the smaller version of yourself? 1, receiving requires responsibility. Most people think they're ready to receive abundance, power, or influence, but every blessing carries a burden of responsibility. Wealth requires stewardship. Influence demands integrity. Freedom demands discipline. Success requires structure. If you ask for more but live like less, the gift will crush you. That's why Hill stressed personal development over everything else. The goal is not just to win, the goal is to sustain the win without losing your identity, your peace, or your soul. The bigger the gift, the deeper the foundation must be. 2, you must expand your self-image. According to Hill, your self-image is the thermostat for your entire life. If you don't believe you're worthy of success, you'll unconsciously sabotage it or avoid it altogether. When you receive something big, you must mentally and emotionally rise to match it. You can't carry $1 million vision with a $10 mindset. Ask yourself, can I believe I deserve this without guilt? Can I speak like someone who walks in this blessing? Can I lead, influence, or serve at this level, or am I shrinking under the weight? Receiving is not passive, it's an active state of belief, identity, and action. 3, the old you must die for the new life to begin. Every major upgrade demands a death not of your dreams, but of the outdated version of yourself. Hill's philosophy taught that you must release the person who survived the struggle so that the person who can thrive in success can take over. That means letting go of old coping mechanisms, releasing identities built around scarcity and survival, saying goodbye to habits that no longer serve you. The blessing isn't delayed. You're being invited to shed the version of you that would waste it. 4, don't run from the spotlight, rise into it. Sometimes, when people finally receive what they want, they feel fear, imposter syndrome sets in. They question, am I really ready? What if I mess this up? Do I really belong in this room? Hill warned against this small thinking. He taught that success is your divine right when earned in alignment with higher principles. If you've planted good seeds, watered them with persistence, endured the seasons, and stayed aligned, you've already qualified. The spotlight doesn't expose you, it reveals your preparation. Don't hide from it, don't minimize your moment. Stand in it, own it, grow from it. Because your elevation is not just for you, it's a signal to others that greatness is possible. Give the gift back by living fully in it. Here is where Hill's teaching moves beyond materialism into legacy. Once you've received the gift, don't hoard it. Multiply it, share it, teach it, live it boldly. Success is not the end goal. It's a platform for impact. If you've been given more resources, more wisdom, more freedom, it's not just so you can rest. It's so you can rise and raise others with you. When you step fully into your blessing with purpose and gratitude, you activate something bigger than yourself. You become a channel through which infinite intelligence can work on behalf of others. That's when life stops being about what you can get and starts becoming about what you can give through who you've become. Because in the end, the true gift is not the house, the title, or the money. The true gift is the transformed version of you, the version who believed, persisted, aligned, and ultimately became someone who could carry greatness with grace. Remember, when God is about to give you something big, He doesn't ask if you're interested. He checks if you're aligned. The waiting, the pressure, the silence, it's all part of the preparation. Don't give up. Your breakthrough is not being delayed, it's being perfected. And when it comes, it will be bigger than you imagined, because you will be bigger than you were. Stay faithful, stay ready, and when the moment arrives, step into it boldly. You've earned it.